Catering staff this way, ma'am. The security guard at the Grand Meridian Hotel didn't even look at me. He simply pointed toward the service corridor. Board authority. Years of doing the same job, never questioning who people might be beneath the surface. His clipboard balanced against his forearm, pen tapping impatiently. His tone was final. The kind meant for people who make themselves invisible in fancy places. People like waiters. People like cleaners. People who never belonged in penthouse venues. People he assumed I was. Inside my purse, tucked between my phone and a tube of lipstick, was a black titanium keycard, engraved with a stylized L. It stood for Lennox Hospitality Group. My company, the one that owned this Grand Meridian, 17 other luxury hotels across North America, and the very penthouse floor where tonight's engagement party was being held. My son's engagement party. What the security guard didn't know. What my future daughter-in-law, Brielle Harrington, and her aristocratic family didn't know was that the supposedly embarrassing working-class mother they had discreetly tucked away near the kitchen was their landlord for the evening. And worse, I had overheard exactly what Brielle thought of me. But before we get to the part where everything unraveled beautifully, we need to go back a few hours, because context matters. My name is Regina Lennox. I am 54 years old, and I built an empire. People like the Harringtons assume wealth looks a certain way. Inherited, polished, bloodline approved. My wealth is different. My success is different. I didn't grow up with mansions in Connecticut or summers in Nantucket. I grew up in a 2-bedroom rental above my mother's tailoring shop in Queens. I shared a room with 2 siblings. Worked after school. Saved every dollar. At 24, I bought my first property. A failing roadside inn. Leaky roof. Reputation for hourly rentals. 30 years later, that $160,000 gamble turned into a $1.2 billion luxury hospitality group. Last year, Forbes interviewed me. 2 years ago, I spoke at an international business conference. Today, I employ over 4,000 people. My son Daniel knew all of this, or at least I thought he did. And then, he met Brielle Harrington. The Harringtons were not just wealthy. They were old money, a completely different species. They had money that predated the internet, predated suburbs, predated electricity, wealth built on shipping routes, steel, railroads, lawmakers who owed them favors. They had generational connections. They had legacy. They had expectations. And they made those expectations very clear. When I met them, at the first dinner at their Greenwich estate, their home looked like it belonged in a period drama. Manicured grounds, enormous colonial facade, marble floors that echoed when you walked. I wore a gray Dior suit, understated elegance. Madeline Harrington opened the door. Her smile, too polished to be real. Regina, lovely to finally meet Daniel's working mother. Working mother? As if it were a tragic diagnosis. Inside, the dining table stretched long enough to require its own zip code. A chandelier glowed above it like a crown. Charles Harrington asked what I did for a living. I'm the founder and CEO of Lennox Hospitality Group, I said. Oh, you manage hotels? Madeline chirped. Like that show, what is it called? The one where the staff gossips? They thought I was staff, not an owner, not a CEO, not the woman who held more real estate than their entire social circle combined. When I attempted to clarify, Brielle lightly touched her mother's hand. Mom, let's not bore Regina with business. It's not appropriate over dinner. Not appropriate. Not appropriate to discuss the empire I spent my life building. I watched Daniel shrink into discomfort. I watched Brielle's parents look at me with soft, patronizing pity. And I realized then, they had slotted me into a box labeled, not our kind. Then the engagement party planning. Several weeks later, they announced, We're thinking the Grand Meridian penthouse, Brielle said, swirling her latte during brunch. Daddy's friend is on the board so we can secure it. My hotel, I murmured. But no one heard. The Grand Meridian was my company's crown jewel. 50 million renovation. Italian marble. Gold leaf ceilings. Panoramic views. Lovely choice, I said. Polite smile. Invitations were prepared. The Harrington side, about 150 names. My side, just me. You may bring one guest if you absolutely need to, Brielle said. Daniel protested. Why can't Mom invite her friends? Brielle put a hand on his arm. Daniel, be reasonable. This is a curated guest list. These are people important to my parents' business relationships. We can't just... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. I wasn't the right kind of people. I didn't have their pedigree. My friends would have been out of place. Daniel asked me to talk to them. They don't want to understand, I said gently. They've already decided who I am. Then, at the night of the party, I arrived at 6:30 p.m., wearing a deep midnight blue gown. Custom-made Valentino. Looked like liquid silk. Hair in a soft chignon. Jewelry. Understated diamonds. I looked like I belonged on any red carpet in the world. But not to the Harringtons. Not to their security guard. Catering staff this way, ma'am. I blinked. I'm not catering, I'm a guest. What's your name? Regina Lennox. He scanned his list. No, Regina. Pity in his expression. Before he could radio someone, I heard heels clicking rapidly. Brielle. Regina, you're here, she said. Sugared, thin tone. Madeline followed behind, radiating the smugness of a woman used to controlling every room. There was some confusion, I said. Madeline's laugh tinkled like glass. Oh, that's understandable. Your gown is practical. Not everyone has a sense for formal attire. My $7,500 custom gown, practical. But come, Brielle continued, lightly gripping my arm. We've made some adjustments to seating. So many important guests tonight. We've created a comfortable little spot for you, near the kitchen. Near the kitchen. Out of sight. Out of mind. So that I wouldn't embarrass them. I knew exactly what this was. Power dynamics dressed as etiquette. I smiled warmly. How thoughtful, I said. Relief crossed her face. Relief that I wasn't going to make a scene. If only she knew. A server led me through back corridors. To a tiny table. One chair. A single place setting. A wilted flower in a glass. It looked like quarantine. It looked deliberate. It looked like exile. Through a small service window, I could see the main party. Chandeliers glittering. Champagne flowing. Elegant guests laughing. I spotted Daniel across the room. Looking around. Confused. Probably wondering where I was. I took out my phone. Texted. Harper, please come to the penthouse. Bring Owen. Harper James, my director of hotel operations, responded instantly. On our way. Miss Lennox? Harper whispered sharply, scanning my tiny table in outrage. Who placed you here? My future daughter-in-law, I said calmly. Owen's face turned red. This is unacceptable, he muttered. Should we intervene? Harper asked. Not yet, I replied. But please inform the Harringtons that the owner of the hotel wishes to speak with them about an event issue. She smiled. Oh, gladly. 5 minutes later, Charles Harrington arrived, his wife storming behind him. This is highly irregular, he snapped. We are hosting an event. He froze. I stood. Good evening, Mr. Harrington, I said politely. I'm Regina Lennox, CEO and owner of the Lennox Hospitality Group, meaning I own this hotel, the penthouse you rented, and the very room where we're standing. Silence. The color drained from both their faces. Madeline croaked. You own it? Yes. And I'm trying to understand why I was placed in the kitchen at my own son's engagement party. More stammering. We thought... You thought I was beneath you, I finished. Harper stepped forward, tablet in hand. Miss Lennox, shall we cancel their reservation and issue a refund? Madeline shrieked. No, you cannot cancel. We have guests. In my venue, I reminded her. And I am choosing how long you stay in it. Then Brielle arrived. What's going on? She asked, eyes darting between her parents and my staff. Her father glared at her. Your future mother-in-law owns the hotel. Her confidence collapsed instantly. I didn't know, she whispered. No, I said. You never cared to know. Daniel did tell you I worked in hospitality. You just assumed that meant I was a manager or a maid. And you seated me in the kitchen? Because you found me embarrassing. Daniel approached. concern written all over his face. "Mom, why are you back here?" I held his gaze. "Daniel." Brielle moved me from the main seating chart to a hidden table in the kitchen. His expression twisted. Confusion. Hurt. Then anger. "What, Brielle? Why would you do that?" he demanded. She swallowed. "I thought she would feel more comfortable." Daniel shook his head slowly, in disbelief. "You don't get to hide my mother. You don't get to decide she isn't good enough." He stepped back from her outstretched hand. "I need time," he said, and walked away. Brielle stared at the floor. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean—" "You meant exactly what you did," I said softly. "And you need to ask yourself whether you can truly love someone whose family you don't respect." She had no answer. I turned to Harper. "Please escort me to the main room. I'd like to greet my son's guests." The penthouse fell silent the moment I walked in. Conversations stopped. People froze. They could feel the shift in power. Daniel walked straight to me and hugged me hard. "I'm sorry, Mom." "You have nothing to apologize for," I told him. "You didn't put me in the kitchen." We mingled for the next 30 minutes, and it was fascinating, watching the Harringtons scramble to salvage their reputation, while guests whispered behind crystal glasses. 2 weeks later, Daniel ended the engagement. The Harringtons tried to repair the damage. They even offered to pay for the entire wedding. But Daniel had seen the truth. When Brielle believed no one important was watching, she treated someone with disdain. And that kind of flaw doesn't disappear with apologies. 6 months later, Daniel met someone new, Elena Rivera, a middle school teacher. The first time we met, she asked me more questions about business than any investor ever had. She didn't care about my money. She cared about my story. A year later, when they got engaged, we hosted a small celebration at my Westchester home. Everyone sat in the same room. No one was near the kitchen. That night at the Grand Meridian taught me something. A lesson I thought I already knew. People reveal who they are when they believe you have nothing to offer them. Those who treat you like help when they think you're struggling will crawl to impress you when they discover you're successful. Real character isn't shown by how someone treats a CEO. It's revealed by how they treat the person they assume is the help. Brielle Harrington saw a working mother, decided I was embarrassing. She never saw the CEO, never saw the empire builder, never saw the woman who clawed her way to the top. That wasn't my failure. It was hers. And one last thing. When you own the building, you never have to sit in the kitchen